Hmm.
Hello, hi, welcome. This is Meera here. Welcome to Kaapi and Conversation. And this podcast is a joint, yes, it's a collaboration between Kaapi and Conversation and Susan's HR UpStart. So it's been a while we spoke in the HR side or on the business side. What happens? What are the things that could become a bottleneck in an organization? So today we're going to be talking on that. I'm going to be inviting my lovely guest. Yes, you can see her if you're there on the video podcast. It is Susan over there. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Meera. How are you?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome. So, Susan's venture, HR Upstart, it's about giving the HR support for the startup. I have lots to share, but I would turn the table to Susan's side and I'll have her share the details. Welcome, Susan, again.
Thank you, Meera. Thank you. To tell you a little bit more about HR Upstart, what we do is we are your startup partner, HR partners for all startups, right? So what and we specialize with startups. Now you might wonder, like, HR is such a big function. It's usually for large organizations. How does it work? So we help startups remain very lean so that they don't have to hire their own HR department, and we become their outsourced HR department. And we work as a outsourced HR department from an operations perspective, as well as we work as their CHRO in larger organizations, where we become a fractional CHRO. And my expertise being in entrepreneurship and understanding founders, this seemed like the ideal space to marry both my knowledge in HR and my passion for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, that's the right word. It's a kind of a documentation that you just get into that commitment. To people who are viewing and listening, my interaction with Susan or our journey has been going together for the last 3 to 4 years. She has been, I would say, in our NSRL cell, I am Bangalore. Malvika ma'am used to say, business mommy, and Susan is one such for all of us. She is, of course, a business mommy. She's the HR mommy also. Susan, see what happens. I will just give one example and I would connect it with the topic also. At home, many a times, something goes wrong. A child would first say, Mom, Amma, they will scream out. If something goes right, also, the first word is mommy. And something we don't know what to do, this is the name that comes out. Amma, what do I do? Right? In business, right? Um, I want to connect this concept with a bottleneck. A founder, sometimes it so happens that the founder who created his or her venture, it is out of love, passion, the idea, they breathed in life into the idea and it is standing on its own leg. And today it's taken a shape into an organization. But the same founder becomes a bottleneck. I want you to just share, throw some light on that.
Yeah. So we support a lot of startups, as well as I interact with a lot of founders. And one of the common things I hear from them is, nobody in my team has ownership for everything. They want me. They keep coming back to me for everything. Can't anyone do anything? I'm looking for talent where they will be, accountable for what they're doing. Now, these are all big words that all of us know, right? But then sometimes we come across like, why is it happening? And I keep seeing this very often, and that is the bottleneck. And a lot of it, it's very common to almost every startup that I work with. Very rarely I have seen where they've been able to bypass this and move on to the empowerment. Why does it happen? Because because when a founder starts a venture, it's theirs. It's like your baby, right? So you've been looking after it. When it wants milk, if when it's crying, is it crying because it's hungry? Is it crying because it's wet? Is it feeling cold? Whatever, right? So similarly, a founder who has started a company knows almost every area of it, and they're very passionately involved. So what happens when you start bringing in people, just like, other members of your family come in, and there are others who are joining you with looking after that baby, you are still the expert. right? You are the expert with that baby, and you know what that baby wants. And similarly with the startup, the founder knows what that startup wants, and they keep second guessing and trying to help the others to, everything is ask me before you do. And that's not
Hmm.
because they are control freaks, okay? I don't want to use this word, but then people often think that, founders are, they are controlling everything that's happening. But that's not true. It's like over a period of time, you've made a lot of mistakes yourself when you've been doing this, and you know what works well. So you are trying to prevent those mistakes from happening by somebody else. So you are helping them in a way. But what happens when you help them? Sometimes you may have created something where, the things don't move unless you are around. So that's the bottleneck that gets formed.
So well put. Same thing happens, when a mother is taking care of a child, right from the, what to say, the toddler phase to then to the next phase. It's like a mother is there everywhere. The founder is also there with a new employee or with the team from the beginning stage. The team also keeps looking at the founder for each and everything. So, how can a founder deal with such a situation? Because it so happens you love what you created, but sometimes it's an overwhelming situation. You're like, the founder would get into a mind thought. He or she is also a human, and it's a normal human tendency that they're like, why are you coming back to me again? Don't you know you can do this on your own? Might be the person doesn't say that, verbally, but it is there in the mind. It shows off in the work, knowingly or unknowingly. How can this situation be dealt?
So this is where HR comes in, okay? Like I know it might look like, this is a business problem, but this is more of sometimes it's a structure problem. Sometimes it's it's a communication problem. So this is where the HR part of it comes in. People, people might wonder, if the founder is a bottleneck, then it is a business related thing. But this is where I disagree. I'm like, this is an HR problem. You have to tackle it from two sides. One is from the structure. Have you created a structure where people have the ownership of particular areas, and to what have you defined that structure? That's where the communication comes in, right? So it's like sometimes you need to verbally tell somebody that, I think you should take care of this end to end, and then walk the talk by not interfering when that person starts doing it, right? So that is your structure, as well as that is your communication. So when you tell an employee, I want you to handle this end to end, then you have no business giving suggestions on how things should be done, right? You can brainstorm with the person as to why they think that is the right way to do something, but you cannot take it over, nor can you correct them while you're doing it. It's easier said than done. Like, you know um you have I will take go back to the child and the mother correlation that we're doing, right? So you have your mom who's brought you up and whom you trust completely, and you want your mom to give the baby a bottle, right? So your mom has done it in a particular way. It may not be the way you are trying to do it. It may not be with some different information that you have, which could be right or wrong. So we won't get into the right or wrong of it. It's just a different way of getting to the same result, right? So you may be checking the temperature of the milk of a thermometer to check if the milk is the right temperature. Your mom may be putting that bottle, the milk onto the hand,
True.
and checking whether the temperature is right. You know, both probably have the same end result. That's where as a mother you would go and you would interfere. You're like, don't do
Hmm.
that. How do you know if it is hot or cold, and whether the doctor has said that it should be xyz point xyz temperature,
Yeah.
and you just stick a thermometer in it to find out, and your mom's done it a different way. Similarly with a founder, the founder may know one way of doing it. The person they've hired as the expert who knows how to do a particular task may know it in a different way. So you
True.
have to be able to exhibit that trust in that person, to say that, okay, I think you got this and you're going to do it, and we'll wait for the result before, we tweak it. So when the founders start coming in out of their concern. It's not micromanagement, but out of their concern when they come in or they try to interfere in the process is when these sort of bottlenecks start appearing. And unconsciously cultures get formed in this manner. Cultures
Yes.
formed of the employee always having to go and check back with their manager before doing something,
Hmm.
because the manager has corrected 3 times. So on the fourth time, the obvious thing that the employee is thinking is, before I do this, let me just ask once, just to be
Ah,
on the safe side. Not because I am expected to ask. It's just that I may have to redo this. I might as well get the clarification now.
yes. Um, so well connected, I would say. It was like there were so many beads over there, and you just got it together in a correct line. Because I was thinking about asking this question, Susan, to you, like, is it a people or it is a structure oriented? And you brought in the communication part between the people and the structure. It's the communication that plays an important role. I so very much want to ask you questions without seeing my notes, but the platinum strings that's growing on my head, it takes my memory back. So before I could peep into my phone or the notes and ask you the question, do founders operate based on fear? Do they click on, do they hold on to the panic button most of the times?
Think they really, it's not so much as panic when they keep asking for this. Somewhere the line gets blurred between what is an update that you're taking, what is an
Hmm.
approval that you're giving,
Hmm.
and where are you interfering unnecessarily, right? So somewhere as a founder, and I'm talking about myself here
Hmm.
mostly,
Hmm. Hmm.
sometimes even I need to step back and figure out that are they updating me that they have done something, or
Yeah.
are they asking for my approval on what has been done?
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
is the update got a question mark in the end, just so that they feel validated that they have taken the right action?
Hmm.
So their communication again plays a huge part on how do you communicate. And just
Absolutely.
like, yeah, just like how it is with children also, right? Like I'll take it to a step further. Let's assume your child is doing something and coming back to you. They need
Hmm.
that validation. You're doing it okay. You've done this fine. For majorly 80% of it is okay, 90% of it is okay. 10% here is what I would do differently.
Yeah.
Or why do you think we need to do this in a different way? While the most part I agree with you, in a small way I don't agree.
Hmm.
Explain to me why you think this should be done in a different way. But then see, a lot of this, I mean, on while I think like a founder, a lot of this communication also happens in a rushed manner because you're dealing with
Hmm.
25 other things. So sometimes it's easier to say, okay, you don't know what you're doing, don't do it like this, I will tell you what to do it exactly like what I'm telling, then it will be done.
Hmm.
Because in the rush that a founder has to get a lot of things done, they step back from giving the specific feedback.
Hmm.
And again, I'll tie it back to HR, because
Hmm.
that's where your HR person comes into play. Because the
Hmm.
HR is not rushed. The founder has 50 things to do. The
Hmm.
HR
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
taking the time to do all these things and setting these communications. Sometimes, even when they don't know the specifics of what needs to get done, the
Hmm.
HR is able to spend that time in the communication and say that,
Yeah.
okay, you got this. This, for the most part, was right. Maybe some part of this, you need to realign.
Hmm.
Let's have a chat. Let's figure out where the gaps are. So these are the alignments that HR bring in into the system.
So well put. I mean, you mentioned about communication, and you mentioned one fact which I really feel that that's what is missing at many places. The line gets blurred, you said, right? And most of the time we just seek that external validation, because initially when an employee starts working with a founder, he or she, they just go back to the founder every now and then, and when they get that validation, after validation they get a bit of an appreciation. Wow, not bad, you've done it. I think they go for all of these together, and that's where the communication becomes, or the line really gets blurred. um, the next question is, before any calamity could happen or anything that can go wrong, there are some early warnings. So I want you to talk about the early warnings before this bottleneck could happen, before the founder can become like a bottleneck. Yeah.
Yeah. So the early warning signs, if it is, see, sometimes it can be from both sides. Okay. I won't say it's always the founder who
Hmm.
creates a bottleneck. Sometimes they could be employees who are excessively seeking validation, who
Hmm.
actually have a problem. So in those scenarios, you need to see in a day, how many times are they coming back to you? In a task, how
Yeah.
many times are they coming back to you? So you need to pause. So oftentimes we have a vague sensation in our mind that too many times they're coming to me, too much I have to do all this,
Hmm. Hmm.
but you need to pause and you need to be specific about how many times. Was it valid?
Okay.
Was it not valid?
Hmm.
So again, it comes back to, do you have the time to do these things? Is this
Hmm.
another item on your plate that you are ticking off and brushing off? Because as a founder, what I brush off to my employee maybe might be much larger to the employee than it is to me.
Ah.
So they are
So.
coming back for validation, they're coming back for approval, they're coming back for direction. But again, we have to remember that given that it's a work situation, communication is already difficult. Plus, there is a lot of rush that is going on. There are so many things to be done. So things might sound repetitive. At such a point, founder needs to step back to understand, which of these things is going on. Also, what they can, a solution for what these signs show, right? So the early signs are, how often are they coming back? Are they coming
Hmm.
back to me? Again, differentiate, is it validation? Is it approval? Is it an update? I did
Hmm.
this. Should I have done it? Is an update.
Ah.
It's an
Going
update and a
back and
validation, right?
yes.
So, can I do it? Is asking for approval,
Ah.
right? How do I do it? Is asking for direction.
Direction. Yes.
Yeah. So these small cues, the founder needs to pick up on. If it is repetitively for the same task, repetitively coming back
Hmm.
every time with the same question, then there is a problem there. Then you
Hmm.
need to dig a little deeper. Am I giving too much of instructions that the
Hmm.
person is not applying mind to it? Or
Yeah.
is the person genuinely confused and unable to apply simple instructions?
Ah. It becomes more of a people related issue right over here.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It
Okay.
is an analysis of the individual that you are talking to.
Hmm. Okay, I have the next question to you. Why do you think the founders feel that they have to be involved in everything that's happening?
Same thing. No, we like we just said. So, mommy knows best.
Yeah,
So sometimes the founder feels that I know best. Sometimes
yeah.
they are dragged into it, though they don't want to. And this is something again I see very often.
Hmm.
They don't want to, but the stakes are so high that the employees scared to take that, take the responsibility and be accountable. Now,
Hmm.
while we say things like, you have to be accountable,
Hmm.
also what happens is along with that accountability is a responsibility.
Hmm.
uh, can they take that responsibility? If it's,
Hmm.
let's say it's something critical, financial related,
Okay.
reputation related,
Hmm.
if the
Hmm.
stakes are very high, then the employee may not feel comfortable taking it till the time it has been reinforced to the employee that it is okay to take this.
So here's
I
the
got your back.
conscious interruption I want to do. So this relates to delegation,
Absolutely.
right?
And also
So
to setting boundaries.
absolutely. So these two things, I'm sure the founder is aware about all these things. If the person is like a first time founder, might be he or she might have a previous work experience, or even if they're starting first, this is their first job, first company, what they have created. Delegation and the second thing that you mentioned, um, how do they bring it into life? They are aware about it. They are aware about it. At one stage, the founder realizes that, okay, I'm getting into each and everything. That's a question just we just spoke about. Not to get into everything, to get into only certain things. And the rest, the team needs to take. It's like what you call it as an autopilot mode. So how can, because it talks about emotional, it talks about mental, so many aspects. So how can you, probably what you're sharing now to our listeners and the viewers when they're going to grab a listen, that will help them. It could be like one of those bullet points. They can just take it and they can implement it.
Yeah. So, one is you have to, with the delegation part or with the setting boundaries part, you have
Hmm.
to define a person's role, right?
Hmm.
So, you have to define that this is your job,
Hmm.
and the within this job, these are the areas of control that you have.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you have to define it. You have to say that, while you can, let me take a example of somebody in procurement. Okay,
Sure.
in the procurement function. Okay, so we say that somebody in the procurement function, there are material to be procured. Now you define the role for that person and say that, you can procure all these things. We have a limit of, let's say, 1 lakh rupees. Any bill that is up to 1 lakh rupees, you can decide, you can negotiate, and you can finalize the procurement of that thing, which is up to 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh and 100 rupees, you have to come to me. Come,
Absolutely.
ask me about it. You can define it in that way, or if it is in the same thing, like, let me just give another area of example.
Yeah.
You want to procure something of 1 lakh rupees. I've given you I've set you a boundary that 1 lakh
Hmm.
rupees is how much you can go up to.
Hmm.
But the item that you want to procure is 1,10,000,
Hmm.
and I expect you to negotiate that 10,000 down,
Yeah.
right? So I expect you to negotiate that 10,000 down. That also needs to be clarified.
Hmm.
you know so in simple layman terms, in Hindi you might say, thoda upar niche hai to adjust kar lo. So
सही
you may
में.
say this, you may say it colloquially and say that, assume that the person has understood. The person may not have understood, so you have to
Yes.
say those words. And
Hmm.
also, what is very helpful in these scenarios, especially when you have a boundary problem, a delegation problem, is to write and define these things. So
Ah.
you write the role down and you say that this 10 points is what you will do. These are the 10 things under each of these 10 points that I expect you to do. This is your range of control. Within this area, you can do anything. You can operate independently within this area. So, again, coming back to startups, what often happens is, because you're a startup, you expect the person whom you hired will not only take care of one area of responsibility, but will have multiple roles that they might play. So one person might be your procurement, your dispatch, the person is also doing inventory, and all those areas might come under one person's head. So in
Hmm.
that scenario, you would hesitate to define that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might hesitate to define and say that, what, I want you to do all these things,
Yeah.
because you think that it is three different roles. But it
Hmm.
isn't. Actually, it isn't, because you're a startup. Even if you have that one person doing all this, you can club all those roles and still define the role, while being clear to the employee that, look, you're not doing three people's work. We barely have work for one person here, but you're doing three different things, and in each of these things, this is how you operate. So it's like a
True.
standard operating procedure that you would write and give,
Hmm.
but it has to be written. That is
Hmm.
that is the that is the main thing that we need to look at. That it has to be written and communicated. It's not that I will write it down and I will save that document somewhere and put it away.
True.
I have to write it and I have to share it with that employee, saying that, here's what I have written for you.
Yeah.
And today, in the days of using various AI tools,
Yes.
writing these things out doesn't become very difficult, so long as you have it in your mind that these, by and large, these are the areas that I want to do. But you
Hmm.
have to stop and make the effort.
Absolutely. So how I would look at it, it's like um, delegation is not only the task, but that a delegation comes in with setting the expectations also in place about the roles and the responsibilities. So Imagine, Susan, a scenario, like we've been talking about the bottleneck, and the founder has been trying to delegate, or the founder has been setting the expectation, everything. But there is a people issue. We just spoke about it a while ago also. Can we call that as manager's weakness related to that particular job? Um, how can we, I mean, it's not about the solution, but how do we deal with such a situation? Because always a person cannot be a weakness to a team. Somewhere we need to decide few things. How will a founder deal with this situation?
So, one is capability building.
Hmm.
So, again, this is again something very commonly seen in startups. You would have hired a core team. You started a company, you hired three, four people to work with you who are domain experts, right? So, let's say that somebody is doing some coding kind of work on a system. He is a domain expert in that particular technology. His job has been that your
Hmm.
startup has grown some. Now you brought in more people.
Hmm.
So what happens often is we see that the person who has grown along with the organization has now got to handle some people under him. While
Yeah.
he was excellent at the work he did as a coder, now as
Hmm.
a manager he needs somebody to help him grow into that role,
Yeah.
right? So this again, this is an area which often there is a lot of how do I put it, there's a lot of disturbance that happens at this layer usually, right?
Hmm.
So you have people who have grown within the system, they've become managers, but they are unable to manage their people, they are unable to delegate. So either they'll come back to you or they will delegate ineffectively. In both
Ah.
situation, again the founder gets pulled into every discussion. So in that scenario, what they need to do is invest in that person's capability building, right?
Hmm.
And some of these things, while being a startup founder myself, so I identify with a lot of these things, right? A
Hmm.
lot of people might say, I barely have time to get the work done. Where am I going to spend time in getting him to, how am I going to build his capability? But a
Yeah.
lot of this can happen on the job with small tweaks from somebody who knows what they are doing, right? That again, bringing it back to what HR UpStart does, we help founders in this situation to guide their team to become people managers. So we help
Hmm.
them, we tell them, okay, this is how you handle it, this is what you do. These are the checkpoints when you will go and check back what is happening. You will not be all over them all the time trying to figure out, whether they're doing it right or wrong,
Hmm.
because people management
True.
is a skill.
It is, it is. And as I was just listening to what you were sharing, it just took me back to my corporate days also. I mean, what we call it as a founder and the manager or the employee. I mean, similar situation happens across, right?
Yeah.
We set the structure in place, we set the communication in place, everything is there. But as you mentioned in the beginning, it gets blurred. So I have this next question. Um, what would I? Which question? Okay. Why do you think this is especially dangerous in small companies?
So see, in a small company, you can grow only as much as the time that you have as a founder, right?
Hmm.
The founder's time has to be protected in all scenarios, because if the founder's time goes into a lot of operational things, that
Hmm.
is not just founder's time lost, it is revenue for the company that is lost. So, a people capability issue is one of the biggest things that a founder needs to take care of. So, while they are
Hmm.
protecting their time, often what happens is a lot of founders protect their time in certain areas. Like every founder is aware that I don't know anything about finance. So, the first thing they will do is they will hire a finance person who can
Hmm.
manage that, because they are very clearly aware that I don't have the time or the energy to learn finance.
Yeah.
But on the other side, they always feel that I know about HR. I know HR. It's about people. I know my people, you know.
Yeah.
But then these are the areas where their time gets sucked up.
Hmm.
So that structure, what they plan to put in place, while you have in your mind that things should work in a particular way,
Hmm.
unless you have the expert advice to help you formulate it and make it work, it
Hmm.
often doesn't work as well as you think you would like it to. So that's
Hmm.
where the frustration comes in. They're always coming back to me. Why can't they listen when I tell them something? I have already said this 100 times. How many more times should I say it?
Yeah. Um, this reminds me of the seven-letter word. You spoke about it in the beginning also, culture. Um, I mean, culture is such a sensitive word, as well as it plays a role of that of a backbone, I would rather say, in an organization. Um, Founder becomes a bottleneck in the team. From being a bottleneck, the founder goes on to sorting out things. But then, still, what is happening is it's the culture that gets affected. Um, I mean, we spoke about the weakness side, we spoke about the people, the structure, the communication side, setting the expectation, delegating. I think we've kind of touched upon most of the aspects for the question that we have for today's podcast. I would want you to elaborate on the culture side, because for the company to stand on its own, it needs people, it needs revenue, profit, and so many other things that goes hand in hand. And the culture is something that helps. Might be one or two times things will go on an autopilot mode, but once the culture is in place, even if the founder becomes a bottleneck, one or two situation, the people in the organization, whether it's a very small or a medium sized one, they will pitch in and they go hand in hand along with the founder, getting him or out of that bottleneck and being the spine for the organization. So I want you to talk about the culture, or elaborate it in such a way that, we come to the end of this podcast and we can touch upon the culture aspect. Yeah.
Culture is a very, it's a word that is sometimes very loosely used also, Meera. So often what happens is that, you think you're building culture by what you say. I'm saying that our culture is to be open, to be supportive of each other. But if your words are saying I'm open and I'm supportive of all my employees, but your actions don't reflect it, that is your culture.
Hmm.
You have built a culture of correcting people and of shifting blame sometimes, saying that you did this, you screwed up, kind of thing. So culture doesn't happen in words, culture happens in actions.
So true.
So culture is something that very quietly shapes
Yeah.
while you are screaming something else at the back. You may be
True.
screaming one thing, but it is forming in another thing. So you have to be very mindful. And one of the most important things with regard to culture, which I keep reiterating to the people that we support, I keep reiterating that the founder has to live the culture. The
True.
founder has to live the culture. They have to, every action of theirs, every action, every interaction has to loudly speak the culture that you want to be built in the company. So if you are unable to do that,
Hmm.
then the culture you're building is wrong, right?
Hmm.
So just to elaborate on this, supportive and open part. Let's say
Hmm.
that we say we are open,
Hmm.
but if an employee approaches me with a question about a particular client, and I will say that, hang on, you don't need to get into it, I will handle it.
Ah.
Right? So you've just closed that employee. It's not
Yes.
even, see, it's not a harsh statement that I have made. I've just
Hmm.
said, leave it alone. This is
Yeah.
this is on me. So I have told that employee two things.
Hmm.
One is you don't know how to do it.
Hmm.
Second is you don't need to know all these things.
Hmm.
So I have effectively neither supported my employee nor have I been open about it.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Like
So
you mentioned, it silently walks in the organization,
it
right?
silently walks in. It silently happens while you are screaming something else. Right? So you may think that, I have I have taken something away from that employee by reducing his work, but actually
Hmm.
that isn't it. What that in that scenario, what would have helped is when if the employee came to you with something and said that this is going on with this client, you
Hmm.
explain what is happening, then tell them why you are going to step in and that this is an exception. Every time, like, I won't step in, but here are the circumstances why I think I will take this up. You leave this with
Yeah.
me because this is what is going on right now. Then
Hmm.
you have reinforced to the employee that you are open, you will discuss things with them and give them a visibility into what is happening. And the second thing you've told them is, it's not that I don't trust you, but there is a situation which I think I'm better capable of handling right now.
Ha. True, true,
So
true.
it's as simple as you changing the narrative and what you're saying. And that
Hmm.
has to work for every single action that you're taking. And that has to be the underlying thing. Again, in rush, it cannot be something that you forget.
True, true, true. So well said. This reminds me of, also the vision part. Every organization, we speak about the vision. So we are almost at the end of the podcast. Um, do you want to connect the culture and the vision part also?
So your vision is where you want to go, what you want to do. Your mission is what you want to be known for, how
Hmm.
you are going to build it. Your mission and your culture makes your mission and your vision possible. So
Hmm.
your vision is how you want to do something. Your vision is where you will go with what tools and what you have right now, right?
Hmm.
And your culture is the one which is defining how you do all this.
True. So well, so well put, Susan. In fact, we were brainstorming on the questions that we can ask, but we just went with the flow as you started sharing those responses from your end. Um, Before ending, I want you to throw some light about your organization little more, so that people who are listening to us, they can reach out to you.
Thank you, Meera. So, HR UpStart is a company that is founder first. We look at how we can protect the founder from a lot of costly mistakes, whether it is by way of compliance, whether it's in operating HR, as well as in strategy with regards to people. So we work with organizations as small as 3 people, going all the way till 200. Like I said, we do operations as well as strategy. For when it's a larger organization, we look at strategy as a separate offering. But for smaller organizations, we do HR as well. Oftentimes, we have been known to bring in a huge ROI, where,
Hmm.
even just with regards to simple things like salary negotiations, ensuring that compliance is done on time, ensuring that the exits that happen are happening in a fair and friendly manner,
Hmm.
ensuring that NDAs are in place, contracts are in place, agreements are done in a way where everything is protecting the organization and the founder, right? So my clients, they have some of my clients call me their HR co-founder. So
Oh,
they say that you don't think like a HR service provider, you think like a co-founder,
co-founder.
and that has helped us, avoid a lot of mistakes.
I would second them because you are one such. I mean, it's not once or twice that I've interacted with you. We've been interacting with you. I'm sure the entire cohort will say yes for what I'm sharing also. Um, to the listeners and the viewers, with Susan and with HR Upstart, we are coming up with more such podcasts because we have some more or several more topics that we have lined up for. And soon we will be sharing that also. With this, I want to say thank you so much for joining in, Susan. And this is Meera here. Yes, and Amma Pranav. This podcast is a collaboration between Kaapi and Conversation and HR Upstart. And we'll be soon with yet another episode with Susan and some more guests. Thank you so much. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Meera. Pleasure always talking to you.
Thank you.